What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Friday Week Recap Show, where we dive deeper into what's happening in the week, and we listen to epic music as we diagnose our culture, our society, and the people around us. I can't keep this up any longer. How you guys doing? You guys doing good? You looking good? You feeling good? That's a little royalty-free music for your peoples. I'll let you know how's it going. I got a comment. One of my questions I got this week was, what kind of music you listen to? Obviously, I'm listening to some killer royalty-free music, so I'm not charged anything. But what am I listening to? Lately, I've been listening to a lot of 90s hip-hop again. Don't judge me. I've been just going to town with that. A little Biggie Smalls action. And I don't know. I don't know why, but sometimes you just got to. Biggie Smalls. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. Let's dive into this week. What was this week? Let's go to a little recap. Monday, we had Bob Dylan selling his entire catalog. The one guy who you thought wasn't going to be a total sellout is a sellout, and he sold his soul to the man. I mean, 300 million or whatever was proposed is a lot of money, but when you're broke, you're broke, I guess. I never would have thought he sold out. I saw Bob Dylan like 4 years ago, Austin City Limits, and he sounded terrible. His voice is done. So maybe he's just running out of money through, and maybe I think he did a concert the night before, so maybe that was the case, but I know his voice is very like iconic, or not for everyone's taste, but I couldn't understand a single word anymore. Maybe that's just the Bob Dylan now. Logan Paul knocked out Nate Robinson, and I would have never saw that coming. The YouTuber Logan Paul is actually getting decent at boxing. He's committing himself. I love it. And then these two women on HBO asked, is it racist for a white man to knock out a black man? And he said, no, it's sports. How is that even a question in today's society? Why is that even proposed as a racist idea? That's how insane people have gotten. That's like saying like an all-white team kicks out all-black basketball team, and they say, is that racist? And of course it's only one-sided, right? It's only like if the white guy knocks out a black guy, that's racist. But if the white guy knocks out a black guy, it's like, oh, that's sports. Like, let's not even bat an eye. It's like the NFL celebrating an all-black referee night. You're like, have you not watched the NFL before? There's a lot of black people that play in the NFL, and they're a majority. So what are we celebrating again? If anything, the refs should be a multi-diverse group of people. There should be women, Asians, Hispanics, literally everyone who's not in the NFL. Latin Americans, any Europeans, Russians. I don't know. Just let them represent everybody else, because there's no need for that. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Will Mike Tyson go for the other ear? Israel's space chief says that there is aliens in Tuesday. Again, people, there are aliens out there and no one cares. It's crazy to me, and I don't know how I'm supposed to react to it and pretend like I don't care either. The Texas lawsuit's going down in the pipe. I am not the person to talk to. I'm not a lawyer. I just know that there's more states joining, and it looked like 18, but now I think it's like 6 or 4. And is this the beginning of a civil war? I know people are joking and saying that you can't say that it's the beginning of a civil war, but what is civil war supposed to look like? Doesn't it normally start with like looting and riots, and then people taking over cities, and then the police having to take over regions because people have taken over places? It becomes more and more unsafe. There's political unrest. There's lies in the media. There's stories that are just not told, like the Hunter Biden thing, so people get elected. I mean, this country is eating itself alive, and it's really sad to watch. And you can only imagine people like China and maybe Russia, but especially China, are just licking their chops. Like, we don't even have to do anything. I mean, this COVID just was extra. So the Texas lawsuit's going down, and I could totally see Texas trying to secede from the union, which, wow. And then I saw like liberals like cheering it on, like let those red states like kill themselves economically. But I don't know if you know where the food is grown. Like food, oil, natural resources, and there's still a lot of technology. And is Google and Facebook, are they Californian companies then? No, they're global companies. Ethiopia and Tigray region still in conflict. Aid workers were shot and killed, and that is growing. But let's go into the first most interesting thing is this. Time Person of the Year given to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and somebody did a little nice rendition. If you're watching my video, they put Xi Jinping, the Chinese guy, in there in the middle, and it's hilarious. But are you ready for the media's fawning? If this whole Joe Biden thing goes through, I don't even know. I'm just waiting for the official announcement because, again, the media does not dictate who is in office. They have no political power, even though they try to push as much power as possible. And the only power they have is grabbing the viewer's attention, because if you don't watch them, they have no power. But are you ready for the media's fawning over Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? It's going to be so disgusting. And every story is going to be pushed under the rug and pretend like it's not happening. And they're already giving them the Time Person of the Year. Really? What has Joe Biden done? What has Kamala Harris done besides lock up black men? I mean, what have they done that gives them the right to even be considered for this? It's just like the whole Obama getting the Nobel Peace Prize. Are you kidding me? For what? Even he was like, I don't deserve this. But Joe Biden and Kamala are like, oh yeah, we deserve this. We're bringing about change because we're going to take this COVID thing way more seriously than Donald Trump did. He didn't take anything seriously. We want to do masks. We want to do shutdowns. We want to do all these things that, Trump already said he's going to do. But I'm just not ready for this fawning from the media. And I saw that there's like backlash, but it's just going to go away. And people are just going to continue to, support the media and see them as truth. And who thinks that they even deserves this? Not me. Not me. Today, Joe Biden was in a press conference and he got asked a question. Let's go into that. It's an important question.
Did Hunter Biden commit a crime?
Did Hunter Biden commit a crime?
Have you spoken to your son, Mr. President?
And then he stops and looks around for help. Oh my God, an actual question. A real question that I'm going to have to answer. A real question that isn't, Kamala, when you guys disagree, what are you guys going to do about it? Those are the hard-hitting questions we're going to hear for the next 4 years if Joe Biden goes through. And again, if Joe Biden goes through, we're waiting. I know you're not allowed to say for sure. And I know YouTube is taking down videos, but the media does not say who our president is. That is a fact. And it hasn't been, Trump has not conceded. So let's continue.
Did Hunter Biden commit a crime? Have you spoken to your son, Mr. President-elect?
Proud of my son.
He just yells, I'm proud of my son, and he walks away. And he's going to get away with stuff like that because that is where we are at in society, and that is how the media just loves Joe Biden. He can say whatever he wants, or he can not say whatever he wants. He can just make stuff up or fumble over words and, rattle crazy things out of his mouth. Like, if Kamala and I disagree and Kamala wants this, I'm just going to pretend like I have a disease like I did with Obama and, bow out. You're like, you're president, right? You're not vice president. Albania goes under protest and takes over a tree and lights it on fire because a man was fatally shot by police because he broke COVID-19 restrictions. This isn't just happening in a few countries. This is happening all over the world. Of these aggressive governments telling people how to and what to think. This Dave Portnoy thing, stealing the right to earn a living. So New York just locked down again, and they banned indoor dining for the foreseeable future. And I think I've seen stuff like 2 weeks, and I've seen like stuff where they're saying they don't know when it's going to open back up. You don't know what Andrew Cuomo thinks is going to happen to his food and bev industry, but it's going to get destroyed, and it only continues to grip mom and pop businesses. It's not helping anything. I've been to indoor dining, and even with like stuff being locked down and half capacity, you know they're struggling to survive, and they're relying on things like Uber Eats and DoorDash to continue to stay afloat, because it's not like their rent is going down in the process. They're still having to pay high margins on their rent. They're still paying crazy rent. Dave Portnoy, the guy at Barstool Sports, had a little rant. He's a big New Yorker, so let's hear what he has to say.
Okay, I gotta do this rant. I've done it a bunch. I can't believe it. I have to do it again. But New York City just closed.
Sorry, it's a little low.
Indoor dining. I can't rant. I've done it a bunch. I can't believe it. I have to do it again. But New York City just closed indoor dining. My hair is fucking big. New York City just closed indoor dining. What do they think is going to happen? What do they think is going to happen to the thousands of restaurants, the bar? They're done.
Exactly.
The bar and restaurant industry and small business have been squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And they've tried everything. They've been as creative as possible. You get the outdoor dining, these structures they've had to build on their own dime. You have the glass in between the masks. You've had the 6 feet of separation, fewer tables. They've been as creative as you can be to save their livelihoods, to save what they've spent decades.
Okay, and this is the biggest problem is people that don't own a business or a small business or don't own, especially a restaurant, they don't understand how much money gets poured into their own business to create it, and things like plexiglasses and making sure you have all the right cleaning stuff and being safe from COVID and praying you don't get sued for stuff like that when you open back up. All these things come together, and they're trying to just survive. And then they shut down stuff like you saw that video this week of the lady who was crying saying she's losing her business. Her I can't remember if it was a catering or just a restaurant. And then right next door was Hollywood shooting a movie, and they had all these tables and tents, and they were just taking over the area. And you can clearly see that there's going to be a catering business there. They're going to feed all these people, these extras and stuff. And so there is such a double standard when it comes to places where these mom and pops are being squeezed, like, you know what, and then yet these larger companies like Amazon and Walmart are just continuing to grow. And Target, they're just getting bigger and bigger by the moment, and people don't care about the mom and pop business except for a few of us who speak out. Continue.
Decades of blood, sweat, and tears building. They've done whatever. They've scratched and clawed. And now a few politicians in New York City's like, you're done. We're shutting it down. No indoor dining. How do you expect these people to survive? What are people going to go out to dinner now in ice cold temperatures?
No.
It's insanity. And this isn't about corona or how dangerous and the hospital isn't rising. It's not. Listen, the vaccine is right around the corner. If you're health impaired, you're afraid of it, you're old, don't go out. Stay inside for 3 months.
Well,
the
that's
vaccine is coming. But let people decide. I can't believe in this country what I consider the most basic right of them all, the right to earn a living, the right to earn a livelihood, is now being stolen. It is being stolen by a few politicians who believe they are smarter than me and you. They believe they have the right to tell me.
And that's another thing, what it is that these people that have jobs, have security, they're not being crippled. They're not being squeezed out of their livelihood. They're not pouring hundreds and thousands of dollars into businesses to stay afloat during this time. They're just dictating off their high chair, and they're just saying things, whatever comes to their mind, and they're thinking they're doing it for their safety, but they don't consider any of this stuff. They just say, just figure it out. We have to do this in order to save people's lives, in order for me to look better, in order for me to look more powerful. And that's what it's ultimately about. And it continues to ultimately be about, is these politicians showing how powerful they are by crippling full economies. Yes, there's a right way to do this stuff, and just let those businesses, let the private sector be the private sector. Sorry about the language.
Me and you, how to live our lives. Something you could never imagine. Basic freedoms they are stealing. And I'm not oversaying it. They are stealing it. And they're saying they're protecting us. Let us protect ourselves. You're not protecting a family that you just destroyed. These people aren't getting their livelihoods back. As I've said a million times, if I start Barstool and I worked my dick to the bone for a decade and I got right to the point of making it, and you pulled the plug without me having the chance, I would rather die. And I don't even think people are dying when they're wearing masks. People are aware of corona. They're being careful. And the rules, like I'm in Miami right now. They just said, you got to shut it down at midnight now. That's a huge blow for the nightlife industry. It was late. I can drive 25 minutes and go out in the county next door. I can go to Tampa. That's the thing. It's not even uniform.
I get that argument of not being uniform, but I also see that as a negative where it almost allows out these other counties, and I don't want it to be a uniform lockdown. I think the states and counties, they should have their rights, and they should, quote unquote, dictate how they should go about the safety protocols, and then we as the American public can choose what we deem as more safe and more unsafe or whatever. And you can drive and live into a more open society if you feel like, I'm taking these risks. So I do worry about, if Joe Biden gets elected and it's put in and it's official and it happens, that they're going to be, federal mandated things as opposed to what Trump has done and allowed the states to dictate for themselves. But then again, that's New York being crippled once again by their governor and ultimately by their mayor. Let's go to another question. This question comes from listener Chris. Thank you for your question, sir, and is about, do you know if instead of Trump being on the ticket this time around, Nikki Haley is on the ticket, or another Republican is on the ticket, and it was Nikki Haley or another Republican versus Joe Biden, if it would have been the same? And my thoughts is, I think it's a simple question and a simple answer, and my thoughts would be that I think that it would be even more of a stronger turnout for that Republican, because, and I don't even know if I agree with my own statement, what I just said. I think that people in this country are so set in who they like and don't like, they don't care what their policy is. I think that a lot in the American public, because of the media, because of society, because of our, our social media culture, where we deem, impression and hashtag influence, that we put that over the top of actual policy. So I think that, Trump has people who just love him and love him no matter what. But then he also has people who just hate him blindly. Even when you tell them all the things that Trump has done, if you say like, Obama did this under his presidency, they would be like, wow, that's incredible. They're like, what if I told you it was Trump? And then they go, oh, okay. And then there's still a sense of like them not wanting to believe it or not wanting to even agree with it. And so I think in some ways that if it was a Nikki Haley instead of Trump, I think that she would have just clearly won. Because let's think about what Joe Biden did during his campaign. He did nothing. And he did very little conferences. He didn't take any questions. Kamala didn't take any questions. She was obliterated in the vice presidency. Sorry. She was obliterated in the vice presidency debate. And Trump owned the second debate. In the first debate, he didn't do very well, even though, Fox News was saying he did great, which I was like, no, bias is real. But he did much better in the second debate. So if it was somebody like a Nikki Haley, Joe Biden would have had to come out and talk more, and then you would have just seen his, what they call speech impediment. But in those that know speech impediment, no, it's not a speech impediment, and know that, it's a little bit of a cognitive decline because he would say things and not even stop himself, or like say, oh, did I just say that? Oh, that was dumb. He would just say it and just keep going. And then also no one would call him out on the things like, hey, did you mean to say that? So they almost expected him to say really crazy things. And so I don't know. I do think that that's a really interesting question. And part of me feels like if it wasn't Trump and it was Nikki Haley or somebody like that, it would have been a Republican victory. But I also don't know about this whole like Dominion software and mail-in ballots, and that is a whole other video. So let's keep going down the rabbit hole. This is a video from Cartoon Network, which is the weirdest thing to me in the whole wide world. Let's watch it. It's about black inventors, heroes, and leaders, and often left out in history. This is Cartoon Network, made for children. Don't forget that.
All right, class. Can anyone tell me who invented the light bulb?
Thomas Edison!
That's not entirely true.
Okay. One of my favorite things in the whole world is to hear somebody say that's not entirely true, because that you're saying it's true, but he didn't create everything in the light bulb, and so we're gonna break it down. And the funny thing is that we're not like talking about who created like copper, metal, like wire, Okay.
Could more rightfully be attributed to Lewis Latimer, the black inventor behind the filament inside the bulb.
Okay, I don't know if you heard at the beginning. I had it low, sorry.
All right, class. Can anyone tell me who invented the light bulb?
This is Cartoon Network.
That's not entirely true.
That's not entirely
true. The light bulb
true.
could more rightfully be attributed to Lewis.
My favorite thing is like people that are in education don't really talk like this to kids. And you're so swamped in education because of state mandated testing that you don't have time to go into deeper subjects like this.
Lewis Latimer, the black inventor behind the filament inside the bulb.
His invention made light bulbs affordable and efficient enough for the general public, bringing electric light into households around the world.
Well, so now you know. Wait, is that it? Hold on.
Okay, time out. She just had a little segment from the light bulb, which I think was an excellent, thing to add in the classrooms everywhere, is to talk about not only did Thomas Edison create this, but there's also, people that created things that led up to this thing. So don't just go to the filament. Why stop there? Let's go to wires. Let's go to metal. Let's go to, everything else that Thomas Edison didn't, that added to this. So let's continue to go down the rabbit hole of this video, because she's about to have a mental breakdown.
We're not going to mention why he invented the filament? To create a better standard of living for people who had only just been free.
My favorite part is that when she's having her mental breakdown, this cartoon teacher, all these kids, she's like throwing things in the air and the kids are catching things, so the kids are more responsible than her.
Freed from slavery? Are we going to ask why kids are apparently learning about Thomas Edison?
Thomas Edison!
Ugh.
I'll tell you why kids are learning about Thomas Edison, because there's only so much in the year that you can shove down a kid's throat or brain for them to like comprehend and think. You want to think broad concepts when they're that young. Is like created the light bulb. Thomas Edison creating the light bulb, I remember as a kid, was less about him creating the light bulb, more about that people invented the things around us. They weren't just like created from nothing.
And not learning about Lewis Latimer? These textbooks are incomplete. There were black Roman warriors, black medieval knights, black classical musicians.
Could you imagine if we had a real history class that included every kind of person from every culture and their history? What is that called? That's like a college class. People spend their whole lives studying history. You're not going to teach this stuff to little kids.
Black cowboys, black fighter pilots. Where are they? I worry about you humans because you only live, what, about 100 years?
I worry about you humans. Was this written by a human?
You rely on these stories to know your own history. Thanks to systemic racism, most of your storytellers prioritize white accomplishments, which leaves you with an incomplete picture. Ask yourself, is your...
Probably because they were written by white people a long time ago. But anyways, this whole meltdown that this teacher had is ridiculous and obnoxious, and I just wanted you guys to know about that. My computer is dying. What is going on in this world? I hope you guys are having a fantastic end of the week. Enjoy your week. That Cartoon Network should be for fun, not for a social justice message for our kids. They're not ready for that, and neither are you. You have to be an adult with a decent brain to think logically over these insane issues. And just because you're teaching one subject doesn't make you a racist. Why don't you, as a teacher, just teach on that subject? I don't care. I think that's another issue where we can talk about charter schools and allowing teachers to dictate what is taught. Maybe that's a different argument, but we don't want to talk about that. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy your lives, and I appreciate you. Love you. Have a great end of the week. You're a fantastic person, and don't anyone say anything different. My computer is dying, or else I wouldn't have went into more of that detail. Another life lesson. When you need to charge your computer, make sure it's charged. Thank you, guys.